call this meeting to order. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. We have the agenda before us. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions to the agenda?
I need to add fiscal officer number 10, payment of utility bills.
Okay, we've had that as 10. Any others? Seeing none, the agenda will stand as edited. So the first thing that we have is the monthly report for the sheriff. Lieutenant, you're going to give that tonight?
Yes. Good evening. Before you have the monthly report for September 2019. Calls for service 1,573, just over 15% increase. 73 crashes, a 30% increase from last year. Injury crashes 10, nice decrease, 44% there. 86 alarms for the month. 514 traffic stops, a 115.9% increase from last year. 271 citations, a 78% increase. 118 arrests, which was a 49% increase. 97 vacation checks. Detectives report assigned 20 cases, with 8 of those being closed. 1 theft of a motor vehicle with an arrest. 1 falsification and improper handling of firearm and motor vehicle with an arrest. Passing bad checks with an arrest. Menacing case, the prosecution was declined there. B&E where prosecution was declined. And then also 3 burglaries that were closed. There were no evidence or suspects on those cases. The next chart's coming up, just showing comparison year to year, 2019 to 2018, and then also 2015 up to 2019, and showing a steady increase. Just really seeing with the numbers what we would anticipate with increased staffing, more proactive work, and just increase in general calls in the township. Any questions on anything?
No questions, just
I'm trending now based
Absolutely.
upon the resources. Question, you point, I don't know if this is the annual report. Do we take a look, or can you see maybe on a quarterly basis, even what type of activity the state highway patrol may have within, like, the only reason I'm asking, I did a ride along 2 weekends ago with them, and I know whereas they used to be more on the, talking with the commander, or the post commander, trooper that I rode along with, he goes, we're really trying to get away from being within the communities as much as we've been, and go more back to the roots of primary interstate highway type stuff. But they shared a report of like some interesting just accident call activity.
I have pulled some of that. They do provide that information. When I did the annual report last year, I did some comparisons of 2018 to 2017. Definitely saw some decreases in areas. As our staffing went up, we started handling more crashes. We were seeing more traffic stops. Our numbers were going up and they were going down a little bit. As they saw our staffing going up, they started sending some of their resources away a little bit because they weren't as needed in the township. They do provide that information, and they're able to provide that for us to compare.
Okay.
Anything else?
any questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lieutenant. Unfinished business, we have none. New business, none. That takes us to the fiscal officer. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. Fiscal officer number 1 is a request for resolution to authorize the payment of pending warrants in an amount of $346,486.98.
So moved.
Second's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 2 is a request for resolution to authorize payment of regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
I will move on. Fiscal officer number 2.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a request for resolution to authorize payment for the following medical claims.
I will so move on fiscal officer 3.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the investment report for the month of September. Our year-to-date interest is $193,266.15.
Wow,
That's a little better than 19 grand.
outstanding. It's, wow, well managed.
I don't think there's any, some of it's market conditions, but a good part of it's just a good, prudent planning and execution. I don't think, if we were to look back through all the historical reserves, I don't think anybody's come close to touch sheet this year.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Fed's dropping the rates, so we might start to taper slightly, but we
Still,
kind of saw that coming, so we locked in some five-year treasuries with a higher rate.
way to look after this. Nice job.
Yeah.
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 5 is a request for resolution that the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and its certification be and the same are hereby accepted, and that the fiscal officer of this board be and undersigned is hereby directed to certify a copy of this resolution to the county auditor of said county.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a request for resolution to authorize the following transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 7A is a request for resolution to authorize the benefits of longevity pay payable on November 8, 2019 to members of the Plain Township Firefighters Association to meet the requirements of the attached schedule.
So moved.
Second's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 7B is a request for resolution to authorize the benefits of longevity pay frozen in current years, completed resolution 16-429, payable on November 8, 2019, to all non-bargaining unit employees who meet the requirements of the attached schedule.
I will move on. Fiscal Officer 7B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 8 is a request for resolution to authorize the Plain Township Fiscal Officer to request an additional amended certificate of estimated resources from the Stark County Auditor for $335,319.21 and to appropriate these funds as follows.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 9 is a request for resolution to certify the lighting districts established in Plain Township and is shown on the attached list for the tax year 2019 to the Stark County Auditor for a period of 1 year.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 10 is a request for resolution to authorize the fiscal officer to pay utility bills and include them on pending warrant list of the November 12, 2019 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
That concludes the fiscal officer report.
Thanks, Tom. That takes us to the administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. In front of you, you have an amendment to our Home Rule Resolution 08-125, which is Home Rule Chapter 1500, Use of Yard Waste Drop-Off Area. What has been updated in this Home Rule Resolution is that it's Plain Township resident only, and then the rules have been updated, And also, we have the hours updated, which is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday from 8 to 6, and then each year close on November 30th for winter.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded, discussion. Does this have an effective date?
It's effective 30 days from today.
I should know this, but I think I need to hear it. If, let's say I have a landscaping business, no, I'm sorry, I have a landscaper come to my house, he cuts all my limbs down, is he then, since I'm a resident?
No, he's not allowed. No, because part of that, what he's charging you for is to take care of all of it. And that would be us paying for any landscaper to then dump it, which is part of the contract they have with you.
Do you think that might, could that cause for the elderly that can't lift but have a landscaper, then they have, or is that just part of their bill since they have?
They're already paid.
It's
Okay,
already been.
Yeah, they're charging them for that all of
Yeah,
it
that's true.
already.
Okay,
Yeah.
that answers it.
And
Okay.
even if they weren't, that'd be so difficult to
Sure.
police, because that landscaper could
It
leave
would.
your house,
You say that it came
drive
from
me
might
2
as well-
miles
we might as well
away and
just
be
line
in
up the
another
commercial truck
jurisdiction
down
and see that as an opportunity to make money off of people.
We'll
and
need our own deputy Newman
Yeah.
in Plain Township, if that's
Yeah.
the case.
That makes sense. I guess, like I said, I need to hear it. That
Yeah,
makes a lot
I
of
think if
sense.
somebody is paying for that service, I think
They're
that,
They're paying for that too,
yeah,
yep.
they're,
Makes
that
sense.
part of it is.
Okay, thank you.
So this will require cards to get access?
Yeah, this is part of our card access. That's why we updated.
Is that gonna give us enough time to get all the cards out and everything?
Oh, yeah, the cards won't start until next year.
Next
All right,
This is
okay.
just,
Yeah, this
she's
is-
ahead of herself now.
Okay, I
Getting
got
all
you.
the rules and
I got
regulations
you.
together for
All right,
that, yeah.
okay.
Which I
Which
Yeah.
folks are gonna have to come in to get the cards, we're not
Correct,
mailing
yes.
them out.
Yeah, they'll come in and at that
Yes.
point, we'll check their license too.
Yes, yeah.
To make sure it's
Sure.
them and they live in the township.
So we're just doing some,
Yeah, we're doing some
Preliminary.
preliminary, that way
Okay.
we can get it on the website, get everything else moving.
Lisa, do you think that you could give me a hard copy of this? I'll have it at home in case a resident would call me, or no?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
these rules, in case someone would call me?
Yeah, they're the
'Cause
same,
they,
they're
you know,
the
they may be
rules,
confused. if-
they're the same rules we've always had, it's just the home rule resolution was never updated.
The rules have been posted at the gate
Okay.
for a long time.
Okay,
Yeah,
just a couple changes, that's all.
yeah, mostly the dates, the hours, that it's resident only. The other rules have been 8 to 6.
It's gonna be on
what the
Monday through-
material, you know, they're,
I mean, with as old as that sign is, it's been down there.
We've replaced it.
Yeah, we
Okay,
replaced
that's right.
it.
I think this year, was it this year, Lisa, or last year? It's clearly.
Yeah, last year.
And the new hours
yeah,
and
the
date
newest.
times sign has been installed
Okay.
this week, so
Yeah.
it's already up.
Yeah, so the hours will stop changing, you know, because how we went to our fall hours and then the new hours, that will consistently be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 8 to 6. With the gate and the cards, if it so happens to fall on a holiday, it's still open because we pre-programmed the gates, so there's no holiday shutdowns anymore, which makes it
Yeah.
nice. Mhm.
because I remember Joe coming in early on Veterans Day one time to get the gate open. because
Right.
There was, we had a lot of leads and
It's
stuff.
Yeah.
so-
it's
Yeah,
so nice
that'll
with those
work.
automatic gates now.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
Gates get put in.
Some of the thought with that too is, you know, some of the Monday holidays,
there's a lot of Monday
Yeah.
holidays.
you
Memorial
know, you'd
Day,
want to be able to
Columbus
use
Day.
the yard waste on a day off.
Yeah.
Did it,
Could be Christmas, if somebody wants to dump yard waste, if it's a
Well, we'll be
Monday
closed.
or a Friday, Saturday, it's not gonna be closed.
It will be closed after November 30th, in December.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I take that back, so
Yeah.
Thanksgiving or,
Yeah.
yes. But it's a hard shutdown every November
Yeah.
30th.
Tommy can remotely reprogram this if need be, right?
That's right.
I believe you.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And that's the end of the administrator report.
Thank you. That takes us to Fire Chief Schellenberg.
Thank you. Item number 1 is our monthly report. Got some pictures there from the open house in conjunction with the farmer's market.
Questions? Next.
Item Item number 2 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize purchase and payment of 7 thermal imaging cameras from Warren Fire per attached quote, and not to amount to exceed $6,000 from Fund 10A08.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution to promote Stephen Fuchs from part-time status to full-time firefighter class 1, effective October 29, 2019 at 700 hours, as he has successfully completed his Ohio Police and Fire medical exam. Wages and benefits are to be in accordance with collective bargaining agreement.
I will move on FD number 3.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Okay, item number 4 is a resolution by Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize the purchase of payment for tires from Goodyear Commercial Tire in an amount not to exceed $5,000 to be taken from Fund 10A09C.
I also move on fire department 4.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Thank you, that concludes fire department.
Thanks, Chief. That takes us to the road. Mr. Iacino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is the monthly report. Do you have any questions?
Okay. Number 2.
Item number 2 is a resolution to authorize the posting of temporary no parking signs on both sides of the streets listed below for the Ohio High School Championship football games. On the dates December 4th through the 9th, being now that they're all at
Hosting them again.
Benson Stadium, it's a little longer.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
I will move on road 2.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And item number 3 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of oil, hydraulic oil, windshield washer fluid from Macintosh Oil, not to exceed $3,822.50.
I also move on road number 3.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Takes us to zoning.
Thank you. I'll handle this report tonight as Tom is excused for vacation. And item number 1 is his monthly report. And I do want to point out, this year so far, they have handled 375 complaints, which is amazing, especially when you see how many they're able to get resolved before it comes before the board to declare a nuisance. So impressive.
Proactive.
Very much, yes, good team there. And then item number 2 is a resolution for abatements A through F.
So moved. Second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And that ends the zoning report.
Thank you. That takes us to parks. Mr. Steinberg.
Thank you, the one and only Evans, the monthly report, I'm here for questions.
Did somebody get a skin knee from that dangerous one-wheeler?
I have a feeling that was the case.
That's not workers' comp,
Looks
right?
like there's
No,
some
never.
No.
skid marks on the blacktop there a little bit.
Violent speed.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Rob. Takes us to the law director, Mr.
Thank you.
Williams.
Thank you, sir. Just one item on the agenda, the filing of the Central Allied Enterprises Columbus Road Northeast annexation by the city of Canton. It's a little bit over 10 acres, and if you do have a map in your materials, you can see it is part of the Central Allied mining operation. There it was a one-owner expedited type 2 annexation filed by Central Allied.
That's amazing, dude. Just the reason we don't want to use this, one
I
person
know
on
from this, I mean, based upon discussion, this was essentially their continuation of mining exploration and not wanting to
zone change.
in the zone change, right? They had come before in the past for a zone change,
Yeah.
or declined.
So we shot ourselves in the foot because our zoning board couldn't see the forest for the sake of a few trees in front of it. This is not gonna impact any of that
No.
business building.
But just the fact that we
area
lost
over there.
it, just sometimes I don't know.
When you figure Meadow Lake, which, I mean, that wasn't necessarily our
No.
doing to begin with, but losing geography is never great.
How many years ago was that in front of the
I was
zoning
still
board?
fire chief. I was fire
It was
chief.
before I was on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah. And that was all over that first land acquisition at Martin Airfield,
Yes.
across Harmon, on the east side, between Harmon and east
Is
side.
it strict over there at the city, is that, or is all?
No, that's what's,
Sometimes
and
we-
there was talk in that entire hearing, that if we deny this, if it's denied,
They said that.
then they're gonna push for annexation, and that's still gonna get what they wanna do.
Mhm.
It's just gonna be in the city when they do it
So
now, that's
our-
exactly what.
So our zoning board was irresponsible to the residents in preserving the boundaries of, I'm sorry, not the internet.
No, I understand, yeah, because sometimes I wonder, I mean, I think we're strict, and which I think is great, because we protect our residents, but sometimes I ask ourselves,
There's no give.
are we too strict? Because we lose, I won't mention this person's name, I know an individual, once he buys a piece of property in Plain, he wants to annex because he has to go through too many loopholes with us, which I think is good, but in one way, are we too strict? Because the cities, for some reason, overlook the things that we are
It's not
conscious
that the
of.
city doesn't have the rules, it's a matter of the level of enforcement. I think it's probably, that's the way it is.
Is it wrong or right, Eric? I know we care about our residents, we're making sure we go, they have to go, but are our loopholes sometimes too strict?
Well,
Is that a terrible question to ask?
no, it's not. I think what in every situation like this, you have competing interests. And you have people that come in and say, we don't want you to allow them to do this kind of mining there. And you got a room full of those people, but then you've got the businesses, you can't do it here, we're gonna figure out a way to do it. And then you get something like this.
But then the same residents all, so what are you gonna do to protect my tax base so I don't
Well,
have
sure.
to pay it much?
Well,
And this is a perfect example when you let the businesses.
Well, it should be noted, this is expedited type 2, so that the taxes will stay with the township, you know, in that sense. So I think that's an important piece of it.
It's just the fact that.
But I think they just wanted to be able to have consistency, one, because they're moving the operation to expand into this area that they're annexing, is my understanding. So, you know,
I would agree.
I would say that the last two that we've seen, Meadow Lake and this one, are very much circumstantial and not due to anything our policies or procedures or anything have put into, that would be my opinion.
Thank you.
I would note that if you wanted me to file a formal objection, you'd have to tell me that tonight. I think our practice on this one would be, we probably would not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, as a point of clarification, if the city ever chose to establish conforming boundaries, would that impact what taxes we do get? So
Well-
right now, under a type 2 expedited, we maintain the property taxes, but if the city was to reestablish / conform the boundaries.
I don't think legally they can do that with a type 2 area. That is
I'm just asking if there was something.
that's statutorily dictated, and it says that it stays as part of Plain Township.
So whether it's.
So whether they did a large conformance, I think those areas would have to be accepted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, that takes us to communications.
And we don't have one on the agenda.
Okay.
I mean, on the agenda we do, we actually don't have a physical one.
All right.
Yeah,
Could we make one up for the good of the community?
basically, we have a thank you, we want to give a thank you to a resident. He passed away, his name was Ron Augustine, and the families and friends donated to the fire department
Oh,
about
okay.
$730 so far. So we're trying to come up with an idea to purchase something, either equipment or a bench or something.
Sure.
That, they donated in lieu of flowers to, we took the gentleman and quite a few times. Sure. ER and township president, so just wanted to say thanks to the family for thinking of us for, we're gonna try to come up with something good in his name.
Oh,
Nice, thanks.
that's very
And
nice.
I'm sure you'll come up with something fitting. You always do.
And
Okay, thanks, Chuck. So that takes us to the portion of our meeting of public speaks. If there's anyone in the audience that wishes to address the board at this time, please raise your hand to be acknowledged and give your name and address to the fiscal officer. And then, there you go.
there we go.
And you can stay right there and seated if you want. You can come to the podium. It's up to you.
My name is Natalie, that's Nathalie. Last name Russell, Russell. And I live over right here on Grandview Avenue Northeast, off the Middle Branch. I just have, this is my first time here, I was just curious. Well, what piqued my curiosity is, I read in the Plain Township newspaper, the beginning of discussions about what to do with this green area in the back, and I didn't quite understand what they were proposing. And my first thought is, oh, don't put a bar in there, or I didn't understand the drinking outside and all that, and I didn't want to see this area turn into a booze hall, I guess, but.
Neither do we.
Yeah. But then I actually watched the recording of the actual meeting, and then I see it's in the very preliminary discussions, and, but one of my questions is he having, the gentleman who owns it, is he having difficulty filling these retail spots now?
No,
No.
that's.
It seems to
not-
be
not at
going,
all. Part of the philosophy, or I don't want to say the philosophy, but the vision or ways to continue to stimulate traffic through here
Mhm.
to help, visibility to the plaza as well as the businesses
right,
and so forth is, some of these other plazas throughout Stark County,
mhm,
as Mr. Giltz had referenced in his presentation, they've got some type of draw that keeps people coming out. Since they've acquired the plaza, they've done the parking lot party, Hall of Fame week, and honestly, we've got significant positive response from the community, because everybody still remembers back when the plaza was first new and then saw it go through its deterioration. And one of the things that we've individually and collectively said is, listen, I'm not gonna tell you how to shop or where to spend your money, but I'd strongly encourage you to support the businesses that have invested back in here in order to keep it going. Well, they have, outside of buying the plaza, they bought the parcel that the McDonald's sits on. There's some plans they've talked for the last little over a year plus on that. Nothing's gotten finalized yet, but they also purchased property that the township had put up publicly for sale. It was essentially a landlocked parcel for us. So to the taxpayer, it's a matter of we're maintaining it, but there really wasn't a functional use outside of going, well, maybe someday if we were ever to expand. The reality is, as long as that conversation's been had, and the size of our township where we're almost built up, we don't need the massive Jackson Township Hall or anything like that.
right.
So we ended up selling that, and they've come to us with some different concepts since they've owned the plaza, even thinking, hey, do we put, maybe a professional building there, professional, could it be for a dentist, could it be for a doctor, what could it be used for? And as they explained to us, as they went through the different, evaluation scenarios, nothing was quite clicking, so it had been thrown out at one point in one of the preliminary designs for the plaza back here, how to create green space to get the public to come out. So that's where he come back with, hey, if we were to put some type of stage back there, is that something that we could explore? And honestly, no different than they do events downtown Canton, the Arts District, the whole 9 yards. We run with that as a concept going, okay, maybe it's some of our township events, whether it's be whether it's winter wonderland, like our holiday tree lighting event, to, you know, do we move our farmer's market over here? You know, are there collaboration opportunities with, say, Walsh and the John Trapani band to, you know, what Glen Oak had? Those were some of the high level. Maybe it's, you know, is it a movie in the park, or are we able to get like, you know, one concert a month? Maybe it's, who's the township, Ryan Hubbard, yeah, something like that. Well, in order to help facilitate all that, you clearly need the stage, but then knowing that there's also businesses back here, and the special permitting they go through just for the holiday, or the Hall of Fame party, you know, from a concept, you know, throwing out, the township doesn't have a bunch of money that we can be throwing behind us, but what are ways that we can identify and potentially provide value that's of benefit to the area? And we had identified that it's called DORA, D-O-R-A is the acronym, but it's essentially a designated outdoor drinking recreational area, to where they have to have certain types of cups that are marked, so, you know, and we would clearly, is just good solid practice, any type of situation like that where there's events, whether it's fire and the sheriff coverage would be there. We're not looking to create some type of, at least I'm not, I'm pretty sure the other two aren't, some type of rock venue where it's loud, you got people out there boozing it up until 11 o'clock, midnight or whatever.
I was thinking more gazebo jazz band.
Yeah, and no, but those are very fair ideas. So there's some, so there's some legislative stuff that we're trying to talk through. So honestly, just in the fairness of trying to be transparent, doing the public business, we were throwing stuff out for concept. This is a far away from being finalized, but they have proven to be what I consider good, reasonable partners and whatnot. You know, will they benefit with the plaza? Absolutely. But so does the community. So, you know, say it's the farmer's market gets shifted over here, and that's not a decision that's been made, but just, you know, you're in it. Drug mart, you're grabbing a couple things, and you're going, I can go over here and I can pick up, you know, some fresh produce, or you know, you're walking out of the bistro to Lackey, or, you know, walking out of Mercy Medical from something simple.
Well, I hope we do something, because there's so much space in that green area.
Yeah. So it's very conceptual, but it's something we're committed to.
I feel better.
Way. Don't ever hesitate to, whether it's call Township Hall or email, call any of us. Our phone number and email information's right online. Our staff will be more than happy to provide an update, or honestly, if it's just even an idea.
Okay.
We're three heads, it's better than one, but we still are never gonna claim to know everything, so we're here.
No, that's good to know, thank you. The only other question, changing the subject, when the town cuts down, which they had done a while back, when they're, I don't know if it's the township or if it's actually the electric company, when they cut the trees or branches. And in our case, I mean, we had no problem, but we must have about 30, logs that they left. My husband's disabled and I can't, so they're still there. And I was just wondering.
Why would they need logs?
They left logs. I've even thinking maybe I'll make tables, but I couldn't even begin to touch one or move one. And is there any, how does that work? How come they didn't take them away with them?
The utility companies have easements, right-of-ways to where they technically don't have to notify us. They typically, generally says it's, most time we see them as the cruiser going through, but they'll pre-mark them and so forth, but to that point, they do have a defined timetable in which they're supposed to get that stuff cleaned up within. So depending upon how their crews are staged, my wife actually works for a large tree company, and that's the only reason I know some of this, they have defined periods where, hey, this crew moves through, does this phase of work, next crew comes through, it cleans up. But if it's been some period of time, I would actually, one of two things, contact the power company, explain the situation. Or two, if you happen to, if it's while the crew's out there, typically the grounds crews, they know what they're sent out there specifically to do.
Yeah.
They may not know the the timetable for the rest of that. However, they know what the process
Yeah.
would look like. And typically, the power company will call these arborist companies and say, hey, we're getting complaints, can you bump your schedule around, or?
So for
what's going on?"
our area, would that be AEP?
Yes.
Is that,
Yeah.
okay.
Mayor, how long have they been up?
Yeah.
How long have the
Well,
logs?
since they cut the, it's gotta be 9 months?
9 months, you still got logs?
Yeah.
Well, it's been, no, they've been sitting there since they cut, I mean, at first we thought, oh, they're gonna come and pick them
The
up.
logs are still there after 9 months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's-
and they're big,
There's a problem.
and they put them all around our tree. They just pile them
Where
around
they
our
at?
tree.
In your yard?
in the front.
Yeah, in the front yard,
Oh, that's gotta
Do
be,
you live on Grandview?
yeah. 4652 Grandview.
yeah.
Or if you know anybody who wants firewood, I got plenty. It just, I was surprised because they were so big.
One log's like that.
Yeah, but you don't want it.
But not that-
You don't want just anybody.
But yeah, you should make a, would it be AEP, Joe?
Yeah.
I call them.
Okay,
Typically, AEP contracts,
Yeah.
most of the work with Aspen, but I do know there was also, Davy Tree was through this area doing some work because of contract performance
yeah.
stuff.
You just, I mean, it's gonna cost me a lot of money if I pay somebody. to
No,
pick
you
You
should
should
not
not have to.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought.
I mean, if that's, because if they're cutting down the trees and then leaving it there on you, there's a major issue.
Okay. All right.
With that, so, I mean, I would call AEP if you feel like you're encountering a roadblock or an issue there, call into Township Hall.
Okay,
Call one of us or whatever. If it feels like, yeah, like trustee.
if I'm not getting,
If it
okay,
doesn't feel like, then let us know, maybe,
Nothing else I can do.
okay. No, I appreciate it. It's-
but that's 9 months, that's.
Yeah, well, for a long time I said, oh, they'll come pick them up, they'll come pick them and pick them up.
No, there's a problem. They might even forgot you, but there's an issue there.
Yeah, okay. And the last thing is, this, to keep people from knocking on your doors, the solicitation, do we get stickers for that? And where do I get those?
The zoning office, our zoning department.
Which is
Okay,
in this building.
It's
Which
this
is in
building,
here?
Yep.
Yes.
and they have them now, so I just,
Yeah, there's paperwork you have to fill out, and, but yeah, they have all of that.
and that's just to prevent people from knocking on your
Correct.
doors.
No
Absolutely.
knock.
Okay,
No, no.
well, that's all, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for coming. You're welcome anytime. by the way.
These are nothing flashy and fun,
Yeah.
typically you
No.
can see how, it's a normal
So
turnout.
do you see, what do you see on your screens when you're, just the reports?
But we see all the information, everything we're voting on,
Is on here.
yeah, everything that,
Like the sheriff's report, there,
Yeah, like-
actually, you know what?
You come along.
No, that's okay.
No,
We're not, hide anything.
No, I was wondering if there's a way that when you're looking at that, we could see it on
We
screen.
often do broadcast. I left my computer at home.
Oh, okay.
Our
full-time IT guy
is,
off tonight,
Our reserve.
real IT guy
IT's not here.
is, he's home, doing his homework.
Okay.
That's what it is, so.
Well, it's boring when you just put a financial number with that. Like we
Sure.
were
Oh,
supposed to
thank
do.
you.
I'll take care of it, seems like everything else.
Listen,
is
this whole numbers and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I told him to chop it down and give me something that's just got good content. Spice it up a little bit.
I know.
Anyone else?
Okay, is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to address the board at this time? Seeing none, that takes us to approval of the minutes for the October 8th. Okay, and I will second, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Sabo,
Yes.
Mr. Hawes,
Yes.
So we do have a need for an executive session, be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to executive session at 6:40 PM from this regular meeting of October 22nd as authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose of the consideration of 1A, appointment of a public employee or official, 1B, employment of a public employee or official, 1F, compensation of a public employee or official.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.